All right, we're talking Dave Chappelle, the closer. I saw this special the day it dropped. I believe it was October 5th, right? On Tuesday. And it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. And personally, I did not care for it. I think the last few specials he did, I wasn't a big fan of. Now, up front, I'm a 30-year-old black man. I'm not Jewish. I'm not gay or LGBTQ or anything in that community. I'm not woke, if you want to put it that way. Just to kind of give you a brief breakdown as to, I'm not going to sit up here and say I was offended by the special or anything like that. No, it's just the fact that, I wanted to talk about, in general, the special. The morning that the special released, I did see that the baby was trending. Wonder if I say that rapper's name right. Look, I don't really follow a lot of current music. And it had to do with the fact that the baby killed a black guy. Nobody said anything. But when he got on stage and hurt gay people's feelings, he was being canceled. Now, I do remember when that killing occurred, but I do believe it was self-defense. Like a guy or some guys were ganging up on him and his family at like a Walmart or something, or a Target, I forgot. But that was the only thing I saw of the special before I actually watched it later that night, just because everybody was talking about it. And I canceled my Netflix months ago before I moved back home. And I renewed it just to watch the special. And to be completely honest, I should have kept that money because it wasn't really good. It started off okay, like, when he mentioned, catching the Rona and stuff like that. But then we got to the baby joke and I'm like, okay, good. Let's get to the next one. But 30 minutes in, and we're still on LGBTQ. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're riding this to the end because I noticed there's only like 33 minutes left of the special. And, he goes on. And the story about Daphne, his friend, a transgender friend who was also a comedian towards the end, that was like, a heartbreaking story. But it just goes to show Dave is still talented. He could tell one hell of a story. But I don't feel like his back half of the Netflix specials did it for me. I think his first two were really good. I think The Age of Spin and Deep in the Heart of Texas, I remember when those two specials came on in 2017. Like, I felt like the first one was kind of like a reintroduction to the masses or mainstream of Dave. Then the second one felt like Dave was, back to the Dave we knew. Like, the first one was the opening. The second one was like, okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty. But then, as we get into like the last few specials, like Sticks and Stones, we get to Dave really just on stage ranting. He's saying the stuff a lot of people are too afraid to say, but for the most part, it's like, right on, stick it to the people who, say they need to cancel people, basically the woke audiences. But when every single special following that followed the same trend, it's like, Dave, man, I want to hear the jokes, And that's not to say what he doesn't say isn't profound. Some things go over people's heads. Some people, I could see if a person is LGBTQ or if they're part of one of the audiences that feel offended by Dave, I could see them flipping the special off within 20 minutes. From slapping or punching or getting into a fight with a transgender, things like turf and feminists and yada yada yada. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm oversimplifying the special, but that's really all it boils down to. It feels like Dave has a chip on his shoulder, and he's really talking about how he is almost like, how Cardi B over the past couple of years hasn't shied away from focusing more on the haters in her comments as opposed to people who love her. It's kind of the same thing with Dave, where his specials really address, okay, hey, after I get off stage and go about my day-to-day life, here are like the encounters I have to deal with, and I want to address them now. So I feel like this special wasn't for me, like as a fan of Killing Them Softly or For What It's Worth or the Dave Chappelle Show. this wasn't that Dave. This was a Dave who just seems fed up with it all. Like at the very end, he talks about how I'm never saying or telling another LGBTQ joke again until there's an understanding between us. I don't know if that meant like, I think that meant not just black people, but LGBTQ and comedians in general, where I'm not going to tell another joke unless we're both laughing. So that's it. So maybe if he does another special, then it will be like the old Dave, because 846, I get it. That was a George Floyd thing. Completely understandable. Like, it was relevant to the time that it came out, made sense, it was powerful. I think Unforgiven, that was when he talked about the Comedy Central deal. And, you know, this wasn't for me. I mean, I love a podcast called Double Toasted. I will leave a video link to their discussion about the special. It's like 30 minutes long. But I feel like for the most part, they captured what I felt. Like, I was talking with a friend of mine, black friend from college. We were like one of the only two people in our dorm at Liberty. So we still keep in contact. And I asked him, like, you know, it was a one and done for me. I didn't really laugh all that much. There were a couple of punchlines, but he didn't really knock him out of the ballpark. Like, some of the, you know, puns felt weak compared to the build-up. You know, like he mentioned age, or, you know, Jewish astronaut or something. And again, I don't want to encourage you to watch it, but I will say, don't form an opinion on it unless you watched it for yourself. I just know for me, I can say I made it through the whole thing. I remember when Cat Williams came out with his Netflix special. What was it, like Great in America or something like that? I remember the first 20-something minutes where he just kept talking about Florida, and I'm like, bro, I mean, back in the day, you would spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes tops talking about the city you were in and then move on to the jokes. But I want to say the first half of that special, I was falling asleep. But then the back half, I'm like, that's the Cat Williams I know. Dave I don't think he seemed to have that moment in this special. I don't feel like I got the first time I met OJ Simpson, you know, that kind of stuff. This was more so addressing the masses as opposed to getting the laughs. And I don't want to sound like that. What was it, that one white news reporter that told a basketball player, you know, just shut up and dribble. Don't talk about politics or whatever. Shut up and dribble. And I don't want to seem like I'm coming across as shut up, Dave, and just tell jokes. But unless the next special, look, this was his last Netflix special. You could tell he's definitely fed up by, you know, the tug of war between him and the woke audiences, if you will. This wasn't how I wanted him to close it out. Like, I don't think this was a strong body of work. You know, it started off promising, but then it got to the point where it felt like Dave was using the stage more so to talk about the issues as opposed to, you know, making people laugh. That's not to say he isn't capable, because some of the specials have their moments, but I don't think that any of these specials have the rewatchability, to me, I'm talking about myself, as his early stand-up. But, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you disagree? Do you think I'm just thinking too much? Like, I just feel like, you know, I could see how it could offend people. But I just know that I can't speak for, you know, the gay audience or the white audience, because I'm not part of those groups. So I'll just say, as a black fan, a black heterosexual fan of Dave Chappelle comedy, this definitely wasn't one of his greats. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents. Let's talk about it more in the comments, and we'll go from there. Are there any notable Netflix comedies you would recommend? Like I said, my Netflix is good for a month because I canceled my subscription again. As soon as the special was over, I'm like, bump this. So I got a month of Netflix I paid for. So I watched something, right? But yeah, let's talk about it. Do you agree? Did you like the special? Did you feel like it was too, okay, Dave's just talking to this audience, he isn't talking to me? A lot of people are talking about pulling it down from Netflix is not going to do that. Netflix is not going to do that. And do you hope to see Dave in the future, or do you think he's just done? It doesn't. I don't know. Let's talk about it. But thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on the special. You know, as soon as I see some comments, I'll respond, and I'll talk to you later.